What's going on, Neon Nation, and welcome back to the Neon Arcade for this week's Cyberpunk 2077 news. Today we're diving into an exclusive interview we got with Miles Tost at the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast a couple days ago, some new screenshots of Night City, some Pacifica Lore, a new CDPR collaboration, as well as a new hub I want you guys to check out to quench your Cyberpunk 2077 thirst. Get 15% off high quality metal art from Displate featuring officially licensed designs. Check out the link in the pinned comment and the description. First up, we have the Cyberpunk 2077 Community Podcast's exclusive interview with Miles Tost, senior level designer at CDPR. Overall, it was a really good time talking to Miles before, during, and after the show. He was super chill, friendly, and expressive in his answers. Going over some of the more standout points, we have a very interesting tidbit about The Witcher versus Cyberpunk. In The Witcher, he mentions that he got to the point in development and through memory where he knew most if not all of the outcomes of the quests, locations of loot and collectibles, and just a feel for everything in the game. With Cyberpunk, Miles mentions that there are things all the time that he stumbles upon that are new to him and that he finds more organically. Now this is pretty crazy because if a high up level designer feels like there's still exploration available to him, I wonder how many different outcomes, situations, real-time events are going to be presented to the player at all times. This not only speaks to the replayability, but also the replayability of mere exploration and walking around the map to see new things all the time. Miles also mentioned a big element of this is the open world team, which layers another element of interesting things to do in Night City. Miles also mentions that out of everything, that CDPR has really nailed the cyberpunk atmosphere. He has particular praise for not only the visuals but also the sound design, including the ambient noises of Night City, and recommends that a good pair of headphones are a must. Moving on, although you can swim, the game is not about water exploration and it only services the believability of the world. If you were to jump into the water and get hit with a black screen and revert it to a checkpoint, that would harm the world's immersion. If you go on a rampage and start shooting civilians, Miles mentions that the apex of the NCPD, the Psycho Squad, will come to stop you before you create too much destruction. Although you as the player will not be able to go cyber psycho, you will get branded as a cyber psycho and you will be hunted down like any other deviant. Environmental destruction, which is shown off in most of the demos so far, is still very much part of the game, and Miles even mentions that he believes it's been tuned up even more to make the combat feel more reactive and engaging. Enemies will be able to utilize the same abilities that the player can use on them, with examples being getting hacked as well as both the Kerenzikov and Sandvistan time-altering augments available to your enemies. The typical minigames of racing, hacking, and the shooting game have been revealed, but Miles held some of this close to his chest to not spoil it, which might mean that there may be even more minigames than what's been publicly mentioned so far. The whole map of Night City does open up after the prologue, but expect some areas to have high-tiered enemies and bigger challenges similarly to The Witcher. There are more details in this interview, so as always, I recommend you guys check out the podcast in its entirety before we ended up getting shut down by Netwatch. Link in the description and the pinned comment for all the developer goodness. Moving on, we have some new details on the district of Pacifica, the combat zone of Night City. Pacifica was supposed to be Night City's money-making vacation resort, a true paradise catering to corporate employees and tourists alike with its golden sandy beaches, luxurious hotels, and unmatched entertainment. That is until it all went to hell. The dream came to a painfully abrupt end after uncertainty struck the global economy and corporate investors pulled their funding for the project. Construction work stopped, leaving most building unfinished, forever to remain the hulking concrete and steel shells they were at the time. Instead of teeming with tourists, the district is now overrun by poverty, violence, and gangs. It's here that Voodoo Boys, a techno-mystical group of netrunners, chose to set up their base of operations. Originating from the Haitian community that settled in Night City after their homeland was ravaged by climate disaster, they took it upon themselves to protect the local community, forsaken and left to fend for themselves by the NCPD. Moving on, I wanted to feature a new community website called Netrunner 2077. This is a community hub for Cyberpunk 2077 and I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. I have been following this project behind the scenes for a while now, and Annie HVX, who has created the site, has put in a ton of work featuring lore, news, fan content, and everything you could want within the realm of Cyberpunk. Me and the rest of the community podcast guys also play a role in the Blackwall section, where you can find our creator pages in an official capacity in collaboration with Netrunner. Check it out, watch the videos, read the lore, and just enjoy the high quality hub that has been created for you guys and for fans of Cyberpunk. Link in the pinned comment in the description, and there is an option to join a newsletter for all updates. Speaking of Netrunner, we have a couple new screenshots from them found in a Japanese Night City wire coverage video. In the first one, we have a segment of the city where we get another look at the tourist terminals, which will act as a fast travel system. Take a look at the map and you'll see that it's on par with the other maps we've seen elsewhere. Second, we have this highly chromed out woman with some fancy optics hanging out in the afterlife. Gotta love the diversity and the look of the NPCs that we've seen more recently in B-roll footage and the gig trailer. Finally, we have some news from Mondo, who create high quality posters, soundtracks, toys, apparel, books, games, and collectibles based on pop culture. They have teased at a partnership with CD Projekt Red, so be on the lookout for that, particularly if you're already a fan of Mondo. As always, thank you guys for watching. Check out the other video uploaded today on Cyberpunk 2077's weapons, and for more Cyberpunk in general, join the Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.